Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 342. Fellow Toolboxers, we're having a special session talking about the Northern Border Conference that's coming off the AILA chapter in upstate New York. It's a really good conference, real big heavy hitters coming to talk there with some really good topics. I wanted to share this one, try to get it out as soon as possible because the event's coming up September 20th. Again, that's the AILA Upstate New York Northern Border Conference, September 20th. It's a mouthful. It's kind of like a tongue twister, all those vowels. But having said that, we're going to talk and go over what's there and background of one of the organizers. But having said all that, I want to especially thank our sponsor for this episode, e-Immigration by Serenade. You've heard their name before, one of the top and leading providers for services for immigration lawyers, not just forms, but also billing softwares, communication portals with clients. And they're getting to AI, all sorts of stuff. It's a real tech company, so it's a heavy hitter in that sense, and they're just focused on doing good engineering work. You must have seen them at the AILA conferences, their notices, and whenever AILA even does these surveys and stuff, they're always at the top. It's one of the leading providers for immigration lawyers. If you want to get a free demo, which I do recommend, go to serenade.com, serenade with a C. And yeah, if there's a part, let them know the Toolbox sent you. So having said that, everything here is not intended as individual legal guidance. And as you all know that already, trying to figure out what else I got to talk about. But those are all the big stuff. And hey, if you are trying to get into immigration law, learn about marriage, immigration, family-based, you're going from humanitarian, you want to know how to run an office to family-based, you've done business stuff, you're a different kind of lawyer, you want to get in, the best product possible is our marriage and family green card course. It's 18 hours plus of videos and training broken down into little pieces that go over the CFR, the INA. So you have hardcore immigration lawyering happening there. And also the practical stuff, like as to how to actually do it, how a cover letter looks like, billing issues that pop up, how to do the consultation, who to sell to, holding your hand through the process so you get your independence up and running and run a great office, or get it for one of your new lawyers. You don't have to train them; just have the videos watching to learn what to do. It's a great thing right there. If you want to learn more, email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. That's info@immigrationlawyers is plural toolbox.com, and I'll try to schedule a quick video chat or phone call chat with you to fill you in on what's going on and take your life and career to the next level. Having said all that, let's get the show started. Hi, Zabrina. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Is it Zabrina Reich? Reich.
Right.
Okay, I'm pronouncing it the ch sound on
Yeah.
Persian, so we can say that. Reich. Reich. So thanks for coming on. Why don't you let us know about yourself, like kind of where you grew up and how you got to immigration law, and then we'll move on to what your practice area is.
Sounds good. So I'm Zabrina Reich. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm currently a partner at Phillips Lytle, a firm that is headquartered in Buffalo, New York. I am the immigration team co-leader. We're part of the firm's overall corporate group. I have been involved in immigration law in some way, shape, or form my entire life. I'm actually a second generation immigration attorney. And my father was the founder of the original boutique immigration firm in the Buffalo, New York
Mhm.
area. Actually, a very active member in the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and was one of the founders, actually, of the Upstate New York
Oh, geez.
chapter, which I'm currently serving as chapter chair.
And so, okay, that's how you know you. How when did you know you're going into immigration law, though?
I I didn't know I was going into immigration law until probably my last year of law school, actually. So I did a JD MBA, and I kind of thought I was going to go on the business side of things. And right around graduation time, and wanted to start studying for the bar, my father pulled me aside and yeah, my mother's an attorney too. I clerked for her. She's a matrimonial lawyer, and I hated it. So I thought, what? I think I don't want to be a lawyer. This work is
Yeah.
miserable. And my father, we had a lengthy conversation where he's, all the things you don't like about matrimonial law, it's not a concern in immigration law. And in fact, I think you would like it and you'd be good at it. So my MBA is actually in marketing. And so he kind of pitched immigration law to me as instead of doing a marketing plan on and a product or service, you're doing it on individuals or on
Yeah.
businesses, and it's very similar creative writing and framing narratives. And as I've always loved sports, so there's a way that you kind of ancillarily be involved in sports or fashion or and explore a number of interests within a different capacity in a different
Hmm.
field. The deal was, though, he said I needed to give it minimally a
Hmm.
year to figure out if I liked it or not. That's what his kind of testing period was, to know if you like something. And that was now 11 years ago. So I
Wow.
guess suffice to say, I ended up really liking
Real
immigration law.
cool. And so your focus is on employment-based kind of cases?
Yeah, so I mostly do employment-based immigration because I'm located in Buffalo. I'm actually less than 5 minutes away from really three different northern ports of entry. So from my father's had a background and foundation, in which I've continued to practice in that area, is having specific expertise in USMCA applications, Canadian applications, border problem cases and waivers, and of course your run of the mill, full gamut of employment based immigration. Do a little bit of family immigration as well. Only thing I really don't touch is removal or
So
asylum.
you're saying the right name, USMCA, not you're not sticking with NAFTA TN?
So I would call it NAFTA
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
2.0.
I had a consult I kept saying NAFTA. I'm like, by the way, it's USMCA. If you look it up, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just stuck on the old name.
Yeah.
Is the visa category still
Well,
TN though? Say
especially
if you go like register.
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. It's all still TNTD, and talking to CBP in Buffalo, and even I'm actually currently the vice chair of AILA CBP National Liaison Committee. So talking to Buffalo or even in DC, they'll confirm all their guidance still says
Yeah,
NAFTA. Is I mean, really USMCA in many ways was just a rebrand, and from an immigration
yeah.
standpoint, nothing changed, including the name of the
Well,
category.
a couple points there is CBP National still like not talking to AILA because of the FOIA issue, or they're kind of talking again?
So they've been talking again, and in fact, this is my fourth year on the committee, the first year in a leadership capacity on the committee, and I can tell you we're really proud of the progress that we've made. I was so the year I joined was coming out of COVID. Starting to do some virtual meetings. They agreed to reengage, and then eventually it's parlayed into we're now going to DC again twice a
Oh, very
year,
cool.
and having even intermittent meetings as issues come up. I actually was even on a call. I think it was last week with the director of the admissibility review office because they offered us an additional call. So the liaison has really come back in a big way, and I think we all feel there's a good partnership where AILA is getting a lot out of it, and as is CBP at the national level, because we're really trying to help report trends to them and trying to make things more efficient and streamlined for everyone.
Now you mentioned you're around a couple of three different ports. Those specific ports, are they open to having lawyers come with the clients to the port or walk with them, or are they not down with that?
No, there unfortunately there's still no in person
Hmm.
at the ports of entry. That actually ended. It was in August of 2017 because I think I took 15 or 20 clients to the border on the last day of that. It's something that we have brought up from time to time to the Buffalo ports of entry, but they feel that things are going well, and honestly, I can't really disagree with them.
Yeah.
I think there's just been a difference in the way that we prep clients. Where before, maybe if I was taking a client, I kind of have some documentation that I would hold back, and only if CBP is going to ask specific questions, and I could maneuver, when to give it to them. Now it's in more extensive packages and lengthier preps with the client so that they understand what they have and why, and when they may need to utilize it.
If you're bringing a TN, I saw a TN consult was a Mexican one, but it's not even the same management consultant. Like it was the engineer that I was talking with. How much evidence of the corporation do you send? Because in a sense, like EIN and maybe corporate registration,
Mhm.
state based, that shows a real company. But I had one time, it was a Vancouver case, I think too. They called the employer and said, "Fax us over your tax returns," and I was like, I don't want to give that per se with the client, but like, what's the average kind of how deep do you go into the corporate like private documents?
It really depends on the online footprint of
Yeah,
the
that makes
company.
sense.
If it's very easy to verify its legitimacy, I may even just print off things from its
Mm.
website to show who they are, what they do, where their locations are, what the product is. I would say for TNs, I'm only providing maybe a tax return and even the EIN number. in documentation if it's a relatively
Oh,
newly formed
yeah.
company, or again, its online footprint is rather limited, just to show this is a real company. It's actually actively engaging in business. This is not an accommodation or otherwise. You're not trying to fleece you guys in any way. This person is truly coming to the U.S. to work for this company.
Like, do you ever do like the sealed envelope that says for CBP eyes only, do not open and stuff like that?
Yeah, yep. And for that, what I will also request it for CBP to retain it and to shred it.
That's good. Yeah. Good
Of course,
point.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that
Afterwards, just give
necessarily
it back to
happens.
them.
But if the concern is they don't want the employee to see it, at least we know we can safeguard from
Very
that.
cool. And then you mentioned you talk with the ARO. Are they primarily in charge of like NI, not 212 waivers or like yeah.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly right. And the conversation kind of centered around what's going on for the consular waivers versus the Canadian waivers that can file through ESIF. A lot of it really was just a check in. The Arrow has attended some of the national meetings in the past, but we typically wouldn't have advance notice of it. So maybe there'd be one question on the agenda for that
Mhm.
meeting, or we would try to incorporate ARO type questions on the agenda. And if the ARO was unavailable to come, or maybe they weren't extended the invite, because we don't control who's invited on the government side, it would just be our contacts at the meeting reading off the responses provided from the ARO without the ability to engage in further dialogue or follow up
And
questions. They're
yeah.
like, look, we're just reading you a response. We have no idea, what the answers to these things
Do you have
are.
any recent timelines for Canadian intimates, like how long it took? 'Cause I've heard process. I haven't done one forever, but for consular, it's taking forever. Essentially, how's it at Canada? Any recent experience?
So what I will say is they are shrinking back up to the 10, 12-ish month range. But one of the big things that did come out of this call is for the Canadians and the ESA filings, they have now built in a mechanism that they can separate out the renewal application. Although they don't technically call them renewal
Yeah,
applications because
it
each
is new.
application
Yeah,
stands on its own, but in those they are experiencing faster processing times. It only happened in the past 45 days, so they didn't have a lot of metrics, but the fact that they're pulling them out and acknowledging that there is a slightly different review that potentially can go into it, and they're doing it to make things faster, is certainly promising. What was very interesting to learn on the consular side, the ARO actually has a lot less control over the information and the processing than they do with eSafe. And they don't actually, the ARO does not know if it's a renewal, if someone had 5 prior waivers or anything until they actually
oh my
open
god.
the, but that's because it lives within the Department of State system. It's not their system.
Yeah.
So definitely a very educational call, and where I'm actually in the process of finalizing the committee, the notes from the call, which will get distributed to AILA National. We're just going back and forth on a few different things, but really, I think it was important from stakeholder engagement, relationship building, and just to show again we're all trying to solve
Yeah.
problems, trying to make things more efficient. To say there are some champions of AILA and immigration attorneys in CBP at the national level, who, especially some of those that are very tech
Yeah.
oriented, and they really that we can help identify issues or things that may have been overlooked in their systems. I'll give you a good example. When everything was moved to the stampless system and the electronic I-94s, well, there was a large unintended consequence that CBP actually was not aware of, and the issue was coming up with UNT visa
Hmm.
applicants who should not be having the electronic I-94s issued, and in fact, they need to have the paper I-94 because that may be the only actual documentation.
Yeah.
So we it took several meetings, but we've really worked together on it, and we've been, I mean, for over a year now, we've been collecting examples, and then we report them off to CBP National, and they figure out, because they actually from these conversations built a mechanism so that the officer should not be able to admit a U or a T without giving them a paper I-94. And so in the situations where it's now continuing to happen, they're going back to the ports of entry and trying to figure out where did the breakdown
Mm-hmm.
happen within CBP system. So again, it's a way that we can also give value back to CBP or to the government, and so they can also feel good about having these meetings.
There's a thing where like if you're coming in from a land border, they don't always issue an I-94. At least they used to not even, like, it might not get recorded as an I-94. And if you want a paper I-94, you have to pay separately. Is there going to be a thing where those people have to pay separately to have an I-94 paper, or they're still figuring that out?
It really is hit or miss. Technically, if you're requesting a paper I-94, they should give it to
Mhm.
you. And I say it should is because that's exactly what they should. They're not necessarily going to volunteer it. There is also a practical limitation, again, that we would not have been aware of without these liaison meetings, is that they're actually upgrading the primary inspection booths, and some of that upgrading includes not providing them with the printers to be able to issue the I-94s.
Yeah.
So if you want a printed out I-94, you're always, I shouldn't say always, and you are most likely going to have to go into secondary
Fun.
inspection in
Yeah.
order to facilitate that request.
Okay.
But it was interesting. It's not that it's not that they're necessarily trying to be difficult, and
It's
it's
immigration.
just there are actual
It's
limitations.
immigration law.
Yes,
You fix
and
one thing, five other things break. It's a complicated piece of machinery. And that's why immigration
yep.
reform, when they talk about like, the immigration reform, like you don't understand it. Whatever you reform is going to have 10, 50 other things that's going to break. And then those have to reform because it's such a convoluted system. And there's no real way to fix it. It's kind of a nightmare, but it makes it fun. We always learn new stuff. And I wasn't expecting this interview
Yep.
to be so informational. I love it. Thank you, Sabrina. One thing, because you're on the committee, if it's possible that the travel history page on the I-94 page could be updated, that's one more consistent. And secondly, if you have green cards to get it, because when it comes to Nats, they don't know their travel dates. I would love it if we could just pull that up really quick with that a FOIA. And the FOIA suck anyways. It takes them 2 years to give half the information. Yeah.
So we've asked about that. It's actually a privacy issue.
Oh, interesting.
So and so that's why. So actually protecting the green card holders' information.
Okay.
So that's why it goes away.
Yeah.
Um, if you have someone who's regularly traveling to Canada, the CBSA version of FOIA is much quicker. I think you can usually get a response within 45 days. So at least sometimes that can help
Really?
as
What is this? I
a
didn't even know
starting
there's a
point.
separate FOIA. What did we do? Because I need a Canadian one, actually.
So if you, I, I'd have to look up the link, but it's CBSA
CBS.
as like their you can request the travel history
Oh, okay.
through
Travel
their
history.
through the Canadian version of the FOIA.
Oh, so Canadians? Okay, so because we needed to see when the 3 year bar runs on a case, and when they left, they didn't have a travel history issued. So I was like, how do we prove when the 3 year bar started for this case? But that's good. We get there for you. I didn't think about that. That makes easy, perfect sense. Okay, so I'll ask the client that. Very.
But that's interesting though, because if that's a non-immigrant, you may actually be able to through CBP, again, another thing, product of liaison. Means you can actually go through there's an Ask CBP or a CBP help function within the main
Mm-hmm.
website, and if you let them know that that the travel details are missing, they can provide that
Oh,
to you,
good.
especially if you're asking to provide the most recent I-94. And there's the TCC, which is the national office that can help with the I-94
So,
corrections or with
the most
the
recent I-94 is actually
requested.
incorrect. They came on like an O and they said H-1B. That's like, but they're marrying U.S. citizen now, so it's going to get fixed anyways. But then it's like I want to see when the travel because they let him in. So that great new BIA ruling that says you can run the 3 year bar in the U.S. fits perfectly here.
Yep.
But we just need a start date. Now we had the plane ticket when they flew back in, but there's no old I-94. No, I don't want too much of case history, but like, dude, this info is great. Our colleague Mike Wilk jump online. We'll have a 3-way interview here. Jump in, Mike. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Good to see you again. So Mike's also in the northern. You guys' name is so long. The Upstate New York chapter. It's not that long. The conference name was long. I was getting tongue tied on it. But I know Mike for a bit. He's been a toolbox on that, working with us on different things. So it's been good to see you. And he helped set up the committee for the. I guess let's use this time to kind of jump in. The conference is coming up in 10 days. And I couldn't find the website and stuff. You guys got to promote this stuff much better, please. Because when he sent me the list, I got the registration link. We'll put in the thing. I was reading all the people that are coming, and I'm like, oh, these are like the best immigration lawyers. You got like a good hardcore group. Like, I'm like, yeah, I wish they had. LA's got great lawyers. No bashing them, but I'm like, I wish these people come all the way to West Side so we could see them as well. So why don't you tell us a bit about what the goals of the conference are this time, and what kind of panels you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Upstate New York chapter of AILA will be hosting the Northern Border Conference in Buffalo, New York. It'll be on September 20th.
I'm trying to pause. Is
And
the upstate is Northern Border Conference is a general thing that goes along the different chapters that are across the Northern Border, or is it always like upstate New York thing?
It's always upstate New York for the most part. There have been years where we've partnered with the AILA Canada chapter, and for several years we had also done a conference that also brought Canadian law. So it
Hmm.
was dealing with on both sides of the border. But the idea for the conference this year was we were going to focus on U.S. immigration law only, based on the request from chapter members, and also because we wanted to be able to invite more government
Yeah.
panelists. And we have an election on the horizon, and it is possible that formal liaison may go away again. That we want to make sure that we're building as many bridges and having maybe opportunities for informal liaison if that is necessary after
Yeah.
January, and we've really been overwhelmed by the response of the government government officials who are participating in this
Yeah, one of
conference.
the most pleasant surprises I had CBP because it's so politicized, especially at the border, the southern border, is like there's the professionalism on various levels of CBP where you just talk, and they're really interested in providing good service. It is very hard to do with the numbers of people coming and like the amount of training that each individual CBP officer has to be a police officer and a lawyer at the same time, and like deal with all these attitudes and stuff. It makes it a hard job to do. But the professionalism I've experienced has been like one of the outstanding parts of dealing with, especially our local chapter here in Los Angeles, the LAX chapter. It's always been a real positive. And yeah, we develop these relationships where you just both of you want to fix stuff up, and it's like great to have it where you just reach out. Oh, there's an error. Okay, let's fix it quick instead of having to go through a million steps for no reason. That works for everybody. But so the great thing is one on one with actual government officers that are coming in and to openly talk, which is really good. By any chance, is this going to be recorded? Is there something that people could purchase and watch, or is it live only?
It's currently live only. We have been getting requests for a recorded version, but part of getting all the panelists to come in person, I think it was key that it was really an
Yeah,
in-person
makes
only
sense.
conference that was going to provide the networking opportunities and the direct interfacing. But maybe it is something that we'll continue to explore as a committee. I think we weren't anticipating uh, you such a clamoring for having the online option.
Yeah, it's and again the number of the people come in. I'm actually interviewing one of the attendees, one of the speaker panels in 2 hours from now too, because I'm really promoting this one. I'm like, wow, you guys are like, it's a lot of good info. I wish I could be there. I'm on the opposite side of the country, but like this is a really good one to go, especially if you're local. You could drive out there. Like this is a really good one to go to.
Yeah, but from the government, we have from CBP, we have CBP from New York City, CBP Buffalo. We have DOS from
Oh,
Toronto.
very good.
We have Buffalo EOIR, OPLA, USCIS.
Wow,
Michael, am I
it's like a
missing it? I
national
think yeah.
conference. Is that?
CBP, OS, USCIS, EOIR, and OPLA. No, you got them. You got them all. And then just to circle back to registration for
Oh, and
2 seconds.
Dice.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes.
To
Yep.
circle back to registration for 2 seconds, so we are up on the AILA website, AILA.org now. And if for whatever reason you can't find it on there, we're on TicketBud, TicketBud.com. Just type in AILA and we're the first
Yeah.
one that comes up. So just in case people haven't been able to find it or if they're still interested, 2 places you can go now to find it.
And it mentioned DOS. Toronto is going to be there. So important because Toronto's this initial E2 registration. So that's a really good consular to have, know or talk to and try to pick the brain on. Man, I wish I could make it out there. It seems like so much fun. How much work was it putting this all together? It seems like this is a big thing. Again, it's like an AILA national conference, though. So how has it been going on for you guys?
We've been busy planning, that's for sure. And I think a lot of the speakers initially we thought we were maybe putting just flyers out there, not knowing the and we've been joking. It's like Oprah and you get a car, like, oh, you'll come and speak. Oh, great! It really it's come together incredibly well. There a lot of behind the scenes effort, and the Upstate New York chapter is really excited to put our best foot forward. We are a smaller chapter, so I think having two AILA XCOM members
Yeah.
coming to participate with speakers from Colorado, Boston, Minnesota, New York. I know I'm missing some Chicago, Philly. We're really flattered and excited to have them here, and we're excited for our chapter to have that opportunity to learn from such
And
talented
Bob Weber
immigration
in
attorneys from across the
Minnesota, he's
country.
come. He's big on LinkedIn. I know John Grove's got a great firm in Philadelphia, so it's pulling in heavy hitters. Mike came on late. Mike, could you let us know a bit about your practice and what kind of cases you handle as well, so listeners know?
Yeah, sure. I'm mostly on the business immigration side. I'm heavy into H's, L's, and E's, like many of us are. Most of the last couple of years for me have been sort of diversifying the visa options for clients that I already have. If you have a client that is really comfortable with one type of visa, like the L or something, convincing them to go into the E, or start exploring other options, so that they're not all, they're not always relying on just one thing.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Where are you headquartered in?
I'm just out of Albany, New York.
Okay, perfect. So upstate New York. When you're growing up in Los Angeles, a lot of listeners, when they hear New York, they always think Manhattan. And upstate New York
Yep.
they don't know what that means. It's like there's
It's
that's upstate. So
yeah, picture the mountains, and that's pretty close to what it looks like up here.
very cool. I guess people think about LA, everyone thinks Hollywood and like, oh, there's the valley, there's like all these ancillary suburbs that most people live in. But it was a real pleasure to have both of you on. I'm excited. I wish I could make it, but sneak a camera in there, record it, and bootleg it out so we can see it as well. I'd love to have both of you on more. Again, if you have anything you want to promote or talk about, just let me know. But having said that, thanks. Stay on the line for a sec as we end the show. But thanks so much. I really appreciate you both coming on. Oh, and
Thanks,
real
John.
quick, actually, is there a particular way people will reach out to you? What's the best way? Social media or email or anything like that, a website?
I'm trying to think.
I guess
I
just
mean,
put your names in, it'll come up. Or
Maybe put the names, maybe emails. That probably is the easiest. I don't know if you want us to spell those all,
yeah,
all out now.
no problem. We'll take care of it. Thanks so much for coming on again.
yeah. Thank you.
So, wow, what a great session that was. I learned a lot about CBP, and we kind of ran out of time. I'm probably going to have the guests on again and talk about practice management and stuff. There's just so much going on. But that's what you get from the Immigration Toolbox, heavy hitting information and guidance. If you want to take your marriage or family-based practice next level, sign up for our course. Email me first at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, and you're going to get this level of information. Actually, we have a free community called on circle.is, so it's a website. If you're a lawyer, we have a dozen hours or more of like 1 hour CLE sessions. It's going to be probably hundreds of at least 50 hours coming up soon. I have a backlog of videos I haven't uploaded, frankly. There's a lot of info, and that's free. So just join that. Well, just had a recent one about how not to lose the green card if the client's been out for 10 years. The 212 waiver itself, we talked about it here. But Daniel Parisi, one of the best lawyers on that, is there. So definitely check it out. Until next one, have a good one.